To the United States now, where investigators are scouring the background of the deceased gunman who opened fire inside a church in Texas, killing 26 people and injuring 20 more. Police have since confirmed that the gunman, identified as a former member of the Air Force as having died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside the vehicle he used to escape the scene of the attack. The gunman was reported to have used an assault-style rifle during the rampage at the Sutherland Springs First Baptist Church before he too came under fire from a local before fleeing the scene.
The 26-year-old suspect has been identified as Devin Patrick Kelly, who was court-martialed in 2012 and sentenced to a year in military prison for assaulting his spouse and child, just the latest in a string of mass attackers with a domestic violence history. Law enforcement is working to establish a motive for the attack, in which deceased victims range from 15 months to 72 years old. Officials have said they do not believe this was a random act and have speculated that it likely emanated from an ongoing domestic situation.
One thing everybody wants to know is, why did this happen? It's a senseless crime, but we can tell you that there was a domestic situation going on within this family. The suspect's mother-in-law attended this church. We know that he had made threatening texts from him.
Earlier, President Donald Trump reacted to the latest tragedy during a visit to Japan, downplaying calls for urgent gun reform legislation in the country.
I think that mental health is your problem here. This was a very, based on preliminary reports, very deranged individual. A lot of problems over a long period of time. We have a lot of mental health problems in our country, as do other countries. But this isn't a guns situation. I mean, we could go into it, but it's a little bit soon to go into it. But fortunately, somebody else had a gun that was shooting in the opposite direction. Otherwise, it would have been as bad as it was. It would have been much worse.
A candlelight vigil was held in Sutherland Springs last night, a town of less than 1,000 people, about 50 kilometers from San Antonio. This is the man who returned fire and pursued the suspect when he fled the church.
I did what I thought I needed to do, which was, they said that there was a shooting. I pursued, and I just did what I thought was the right thing.
Predictably, the conversation has swiftly moved back to gun control, with Democrats renewing their pleas for the United States Congress to tighten legislation in terms of who can own a gun. But several Republicans, including the president, have argued that guns were not to blame. This just more than a month after 58 people were killed and 546 injured when another lone gunman opened fire on concert goers along the Las Vegas Strip. Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.